Big Boy is the world's largest steam locomotive. And the other thing special about it, it's a steam locomotive that's operating in the year 2019. I mean, the sheer size of it, the sound it makes, that very iconic sound of that whistle, it's unmistakable. It has a really unique look when it's coming upon you because it's called an articulated locomotive, meaning that it's hinged, so it's got two big giant frame units. So it's two big steam locomotives and one big boiler. So it's just a fascinating machine for people to watch operate. They see it when it goes by them, when they're standing back 25 feet from the track. It's just a remarkable experience. You can see the happiness on everyone's face. You can see the look of surprise when it's getting closer and closer to them. It's just a tremendous way to reach out and connect with people. 4 what we call pilot wheels in the front and 2 sets of 8 each driver. So it's 4, 8, the first set, the first engine, the second set, 8, and then it's got 4 trailing wheels. And then the tender, which is really unique in itself, is called a centipede tender. It's got all those wheels underneath it. It's 605 tons, 17 feet tall, 11.5 feet wide, 135 feet long, 7,000 horsepower. Just an amazing powerhouse of a locomotive. We took this locomotive apart all the way down to the last nut and bolt. We didn't take the boiler and the frame apart. We didn't take the firebox completely apart. But other than that, we took this locomotive completely apart. So we stripped everything down, we sandblasted it down to bare metal, painted it really good, and then started putting it back together. And we made a lot of very significant new parts for it. So some of the major operating components, they're brand new. So they fit together really nicely. The engine itself, the valves, the cylinders, the pistons, the rings, all of that, all brand new. We machined everything and we did everything in-house in Cheyenne. Some of the big parts, we had big machine shops do some of the initial machining for us, but we did all the work, my team of 9, myself and 8 other guys.
How many years did it take?
2.5 years, which in itself is just a remarkable achievement. Well, here we're standing in front of this big, magnificent locomotive. You can hear the air pumps kind of softly working in the background. Everything on this locomotive is 1940s. We've got a modern radio, a modern speedometer, and a modern safety control system, but other than that, this is an original 1940s locomotive. The appearance is all original. A lot of the big, heavy pieces you see up front are original. We sandblasted them, cleaned them up, put them together with new nuts and bolts. Made all the new parts that we needed to on the steam delivery lines and the swivel joints. You can just look at the beautiful shiny metal there. The new springs on the inside, new coil springs, new leaf springs, pins and bushings on the brake rigging. I mean, just when we put it together, I mean, it went together fairly quickly because we were using new components. And that was part of our strategy when we were putting it together. A lot of people didn't think we were going to get it done because they would see pictures of it along the way and it still looked like we had a long way to go. And we did, but that just meant that we worked harder. So we're very lucky that we had so many people supporting us and helping us along the way. But when it comes down to a project like this, it's just hard work and you just have to stay after it and not give up until you're done. Morning, Curtis and Teddy.
Morning. Hi, how are you?
How we doing? We're inside the cab of the Big Boy. You can hear the fire burning, the oil fire. We did convert the locomotive to burn a fuel oil source. All of the cab that you see is original, with the exception of the modern radio that we have and a modern speedometer and one other electronic device. We have Kurt Clark, my fireman. This is the firing valve and what we call the firing manifold over here, and that controls the flow of oil to the burner in the firebox that you can see right here. So it looks intimidating and it looks complicated, But all the systems that you have that you need are within close proximity of the engineer and the fireman. We have a bucket of sand down here. We use that as we're operating the locomotive, and we put the sand in the sand hole, and that helps clean out the tubes and flues, and it helps clean the heat transfer surface of the firebox and helps the locomotive perform just a little bit better. For decades, people were told by official sources that the big boy will never operate. It's too big, it's too heavy. It won't work on the fuel source that we're burning successfully here. It's just too big, it can't turn around anywhere. And that's just not the case. We're here, we've turned around in many locations that have old locations. So I think that's really what's got people just amazed, because everyone was convinced they would never see a big boy run ever. And there's 8 of these locomotives around. This is the only one restored. So people could go see the locomotive in various locations around the country, but they were under the understanding that they'd never see it run again. So here we are in West Chicago with a big boy, and people are just amazed.